friends. Welcome to Thousand Island Environmental Center. This is a presentation all about birds. Birds in springtime have a special song that they sing, only in the springtime. So we're going to learn today a little bit about those birds that sing. Not all birds do, just some of them. They're called songbirds. Passerines is another fancy word. But we're going to learn about some of those birds that sing their songs in springtime, why they sing their songs, and what kind of birds we might be able to go see if we go for a walk on the trail. We can hear them before you can see them a lot of times. So here we're starting with a picture of a cat and a red bird called a cardinal. This book is called Feathers for Lunch by Lois Ehlert. And I can never say her name quite right, so if I say it wrong, well, that's okay. So it's starting out here with our kitty cat. Uh-oh, door's left open, just a crack. You can see his tail. My cat is out and he won't come back. So the kitty took off out of the door. He's looking for lunch, something new. Here's the kitty, and here's one of my favorite birds called the American robin. A spicy treat for today's menu. I bet you can tell what kind of bird this one is just by its color. It's the blue jay. Good job. His food in a can is tame and mild. You remember from the bird that I said in the beginning, the bright red bird is called a cardinal. So he's gone out for something wild. Here are a couple of house wrens. He's snooping and sneaking. Those birds sure look good. How many of you know what this bird is? A bird that taps on a tree with its beak. This is the red-headed woodpecker. If he could catch one, he'd eat it. He would. This one is one that we see all around the trails here at Thousand Islands, called the red-winged blackbird. But when his bell jingles, birds call a loud warning. Here's another bird that's just recently come back to the area called the northern oriole. Big cat got out early this morning. Here's one more called the mourning dove. But cats can't fly and they can't soar. Here's the flicker. He's another type of woodpecker. And birds know what their wings are for. This one is another favorite bird, a hummingbird. So he keeps prowling, hoping to munch. This one is a fun bird to see called the American goldfinch and the house sparrow, pretty common birds. But all he catches are feathers for lunch. Those birds are too fast for that cat to catch. That's a good thing. Here are all those birds that we just looked at, and these are some of the birds that we can hear singing in the springtime. So birds, when they sing in the springtime, sing for a special reason. Not all birds sing. Some of the birds that sing are birds that are called songbirds, and they sing to find a mate. So for example, this is the northern cardinal. This is what the picture looks like when he's in a tree and he's singing. The northern cardinal is an easy one to identify. He has a bright red body and a black mask. But not only does he have that, or he's the male and he has those beautiful bright colors, but the female, if you look closely, doesn't have quite the same colors. She's not as bright. So the male goes high up in the top of a tree in the springtime. He claims that tree as his territory, and he sings his beautiful song so that he can attract the female, and they will build a nest together. When they build the nest together, they'll build it up in that tree, and it depends on what kind of bird it is that you'll be, that is singing and building that nest, as to what their nest looks like. They'll build that nest together. The female will lay her eggs in that nest. And depending on the species, the male will sometimes stick around and come by the female and help her when she's sitting on those eggs. So here's a woodpecker that's sitting on its eggs. Now a woodpecker makes its nest inside of a tree. So it sits on the nest and waits for those eggs as they incubate. She incubates them, and over a couple of weeks, those babies develop inside the eggs. She will turn the eggs over in the nest and sit on them to keep them warm and help them to develop. Once those eggs hatch, surprise, surprise, there's the babies, and they come out and they're hungry. So when they are super hungry, they'll open their mouth wide. The mom looks inside and says, "Oh, I have to go find food." So she flies away, gets some food, comes back, and those babies have their mouths wide open, waiting for food. That triggers her to release the food that she's carried in her beak or in her little pocket in her throat called a prop, and she gives them their food, and they eat it up, and she flies away and goes back and gets some more and comes back and feeds them again. She flies away again and comes back and feeds them more. Sometimes both mom and dad are busy, busy, busy feeding those babies until the babies get big enough so that they can fly away themselves. Bird nests are different depending on the type of bird it is. So, for instance, this is the oriole, who builds a nest that's shaped like a basket that hangs from a tree. The oriole is a beautiful black and orange bird that we can hear their lovely call. This, I bet you know this one, is the robin, who builds a cup nest. So the robin builds a nest out of mud and leaves and grass, and she lays these beautiful blue eggs. When she has those eggs in the nest, it's like they're camouflaged to the sky. Other birds, like sparrows, will use little pieces of plant fuzz. Usually some of these fuzzies are from cattails, some of them are from thistle, but they use those to line their nest and make them nice and soft. So when the birds are up in the tree, they make a long, very loud call that usually you can hear from a long distance away. I have some of these calls. So this is the cardinal. Listen for this one. I like to listen to the cardinal because when I hear it, it sounds like it's saying, "Watch here, watch here, birdie, 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 birdie." Listen carefully. Birdie, 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 birdie. Can you hear it? That's the cardinal. That's one of my favorite spring birds to hear. Another one that I like to listen to is called the red-winged blackbird. The red-winged blackbird is has a different kind of call. I have to find him on here. Sorry, friends. Where he says, "Conker-dee, conker-dee." Can you say that with me? Conker-dee. Listen carefully. Here it comes. Conker-dee. He's a little messed up. Let me try this one. There it is, Conker-dee. One of my favorite birds to hear. So when I hear the red-winged blackbird, he is usually in a cattail or near water somewhere because that's where they like to nest. This is another bird that I like to hear in the spring as well, called the mourning dove. Now when you hear the mourning dove, sometimes you might think you're hearing an owl, but it's actually the dove singing its morning song. So morning not as in morning of the day, it's morning as in he sounds kind of sad. Listen. Do you hear it sound like an owl? That's the mourning dove. This one is one of my favorites to hear. Right now, they're calling. This is going to be one more. Let me get him. Okay, this is, you can hear this right now. It's a beautiful whistle that the Baltimore Oriole is singing. And they're singing their songs right now, starting to build their nests. So he is a beautiful bright orange and black-headed bird. The last two we have are the easiest to remember. This is one of my favorites. The black-capped chickadee. Sorry, my hands are a little bit messed up here. Black-capped chickadee is one of my favorites to hear because not only does he say his name, chickadee, he also says cheeseburger. So he'll say his name, chickadee-dee-dee, chickadee-dee-dee, and then he follows it with his spring song, cheeseburger. Listen again. Can you hear it? Cheeseburger. And then finally, our last bird of the day. This is the American robin. That's not it. The American robin is, I have a funny saying because it's one of the first birds to start singing early in the morning. And it starts so early that it wakes me up. When it sings, it reminds me it's time for breakfast. And he says, cheerio, cheer up, cheerio, cheer up. But then, when he's done with his cheerio, cheer up, and he's woken me up, I get all angry and I say, you, Robin, you've made me mad, and I shake my fist at him and he flies away laughing. Listen. Cheerio. Did you hear him laugh at the end? So those are some spring birds. Those are some of the birds that we like to find and look for here when we're walking on the trails. These are birds that you can see in your own backyard. They're not hard to find. They're pretty easy to find just about anywhere. But if you listen to those calls, you can hear the calls before you see the bird. And then that way you can find which bird you are listening to. So, I hope you enjoyed this today. If you would like to have any of these songs, a great app to use to help to identify those birds is called the Audubon app, which is what I was using. Let's see if I can get to my home page here. So this is the Audubon app that I was using on my phone to use to get some of those bird calls. It's a free app and it's an awesome resource to use in the field.